The Manhattan skyline rises like a gigantic, throbbing cardiogram. The lights of the skyscrapers blink in even beats. The streets below drone with an eternal bass. Our home is a glass box on the 49th floor, as if chipped off the sky itself and fastened in concrete and steel. Panoramic walls without curtains. By day they mirror the glint of the Hudson. By night a swarm of neon sparks from Times Square. Inside, an open plan is marked out minimalist style. Four black leather sofas stand like chess knights at the edges of the rug so that nothing blocks the view. Abstract canvases slash the white planes of the walls with abrupt strokes of scarlet and gold. They look like wounds that do not bleed yet still ache. A cold granite island in the middle of the kitchen is our confessional. Marcus says he loves stone because no traces linger on it. The intense smell of freshly ground coffee by day is replaced at night by the aroma of velvety Cabernet. Every liquid inside these walls seems darker than it ought to be. I'm 37. I'm an illustrator. I draw for glossy magazines and secretly sell large canvases where the lines are too jittery for the mass public. From the age of 10, I feared heights, but with Marcus, I learned to breathe at the edge. In this penthouse, I sometimes open a window, lean out to the waist, and lock my gaze on the roof of the neighboring building. If I don't flinch, it means I still know how to choose fear. Marcus Gray, 42. An architect who designs boutiques in Soho and next-generation houses where the walls move with the owner's mood. He has the posture of a tennis player and a deliberate part in which there is just enough gray to seem reliable but not old. Inside him lives a tidy kindness and at the same time a devilishly precise thirst for trials, as though every how far can we go matters more to him than any I love you. Our marriage is neither a castle nor a safe harbor. It is more like an interactive labyrinth. The doors sometimes lead to coveted rooms, but more often to new cliffs. We are both used to it. If a line is drawn, it must be swung wider to understand what will remain intact. Friday evening. Beyond the glass, the city crumbles into a scatter of lights like someone's slit pupils. I stand barefoot on polished concrete, cold underfoot. In my hand a glass of Zinfandel the color of evening blood. Marcus is rummaging at the wine cabinet. I hear the familiar chime of bottled glass against a shelf. He's choosing something stronger in taste and stronger in consequences. He rarely walks quietly, but today his steps barely rustle, and this lowered volume makes the air thicker. A glance thrown across the kitchen prolonged, the kind that sets skin alight even if 10 meters lie between us. I have a request, Evie. His voice is lower than usual, as if the base has been soaked in bourbon. One such that, if we agree, boundaries will cease to be lines and will become points of no return. The glass trembles. The wine bends the light of the lamps over the dining zone, demonstrating how easily the world warps from a single word. I don't answer, only nod slowly, feeling my own heart in my throat. This tremolo of a pause matters to us more than any quotation marks. While I try to lay the unknown into a tidy shape, he comes closer, his palm landing on the cool marble as though fixing a point of departure. We both know love is not insurance. It's a test at the given truth. I'm ready to propose something others would call madness. I hear old latches click inside me. The fear of the first height is replaced by the spicy taste of adrenaline. Marcus studies my face as though reading an architectural section, seeking the weak link. But he sees not a quiver, but a light, frightening smile. I'm used to there being no even walls with him, and I myself have long wanted to test whether new ones will hold. A laser reflection from the glass panel of a lift in the neighboring skyscraper slides across our window, an ad for the rooftop bar opposite. A red dot glides over our pane, 1, 2, 3 zigzags, like a cardiac monitor. I follow it with my eyes and understand. In this second, our world switched to record mode. Marcus tilts his head, as if listening to this mute flash. And he says almost in a whisper, if you decide to say yes, tomorrow the city will wake in another scale. I sip the wine. The taste settles heavily on the tongue. The stone under Bare Solace is no longer cold. It breathes with the heat of future risk. Saturday has crawled beyond the edge of the skyscrapers, leaving only a fiery purple scar in the sky. Inside the penthouse, the light is dimmed, table lamps are capped with smoky shades, so the glass walls turn into a one-way mirror. Manhattan is visible to us, but we are not to it. On the granite island, 2 bottles, Spanish Priorat and a dark, nearly inky bourbon, Marcus' favorite charred wood. He opens both at once, as if he already knows which drink will be needed at which moment of the dialogue. Ice clinks, cracking the silence. He sets the first glass before me, the second for himself. The stone chills my forearms. I lean on it, feeling the tension in my spine coil like a twisted spring. Marcus takes a swallow of bourbon, slowly puts down the glass and, without stepping away from the bar edge, says, "I want to see you give up control. Completely. In front of my people." The voice no louder than a breath, but the words slice the air clean, without splinters. Each one reflects in the glass behind, like a double. Whiskey burns my tongue when I sip for courage. Inside a double beat, one half of the heart screams stop. The other whispers, "See what happens." He waits. No smile, no urging eyebrow. Only a slight tilt of the head, the architect checking whether the walls will hold. I inhale until my ribs hurt, lean forward and hear my own voice, surprisingly calm. "You want honesty? Fine. Then you'll start. In front of my girlfriends. 3 to 1. The granite under my palms feels warmer or blood pounds too loudly. At those words, Marcus' eyes darken, half a tone like an overexposed frame, and suddenly soften. He smiles briefly, almost respectfully. Deal. Inside, I flinch. Part of me expected or perhaps hoped for hesitation. But he accepts the challenge as calmly as he raises a new skyscraper in a render. If a line is drawn, it can be built. For several minutes, we simply stand opposite each other, and the silence fills the room with dense buzzing. One can even hear distant brake squeals on 8th Avenue. I realize the glass in my hand has become lighter. I've nearly finished the Priorat and recall no taste, only the tart note of danger spreading under my ribs. Marcus takes his phone, turns to the window, but the reflection gives away that he's watching me. His fingers slide over the screen, short messages sent to Laya, Sarah, MEI. I hear faint vibrations of replies, like echolocation agreement accepted. I answer in kind to Neil, Christian, LJ1 phrase invitations. Each send is like the click of a lock in a doorless room. We don't discuss details, neither time nor rules. In this marriage, specifics always chase the facts. The main thing has already happened. We simultaneously took the safeties off our own fears. Marcus kills the kitchen light, leaving only one lamp by the sofa. Its golden cone slices the space like a spotlight on an improvised stage. He approaches, stops at arm's length, and solemnly, almost gently, lays his palm on the back of my head, not to pull me in, but as if to fasten an invisible crown of courage. Tomorrow no one will be the same. Sure? I feel the warmth of his fingers in my roots and involuntarily smile. I'm trembling, Marcus, which means I'm completely ready. He turns on the camera he usually uses to shoot models. The red indicator flares and stays lit, doesn't blink, doesn't warn, just states. On the monitor, we stand together, reflected in the gigantic window, and behind Manhattan, unaware that this height is becoming the arena for one of the riskiest exchanges of vulnerability. We don't turn off the recording, we simply go upstairs to sleep, leaving the lens staring into the dark living room like a night camera in a zoo where the most interesting beasts emerge after midnight. The wall clock shows 20 to 14 when the first muffled ring pierces the penthouse. Evelyn feels the vibration recede along the copper pipes in the floor, as though the building itself is testing her resolve. She opens the door. Laya enters first, dark red lipstick, short jacket, cheeky well, hello. Behind her, the hesitant Sarah, silk scarf, fingers clenching a purse strap. Last comes NEI, white glasses, analyst's gaze, as if she's arrived at an art vernissage, not a private experiment. Fog drapes Manhattan, windows turn into soft mirrors. In the reflection, 5 figures, yet it feels like 6. Invisible tension stands apart and casts its own shadow. The black sofas have already been pushed to the edges. In the center, a single club chair. Behind it, a tall lamp with a warm shade. The lighting is intentionally theatrical so that every fold of fabric, every breath reads in close-up. The camera on the tripod glows with a red dot, recording continuous. Marcus exits the bedroom. White t-shirt, jogging pants, face calm, but in his eyes a wandering current. Evelyn blocks his way with her palm. Sage signaled the same as always. The same, a curt nod. She raises a whistle bracelet to her lips. If its note soars, everything stops. One glance is enough for her friends. The rules are clear. Marcus sinks into the chair. Laya gently touches his shoulder, as if checking the temperature of metal before laying a hand on the stove. Sarah holds her breath, and MI turns the camera 5 degrees. The frame must be perfect. Evelyn stands behind the lens, fingers on the focus ring. In the crosshairs, Marcus seems at once immense and fragile. He closes his eyes, not from shame, but so as not to be distracted from inner noise. Her rib cage tightens. Jealousy and pride intertwine like two threads of one nerve. She notices she's gripping the camera remote so hard a nail nearly pierced the plastic. Laya takes the initiative first. Her palm flies along the collar of his shirt. The fabric stretches, tears with a quiet ph. The lamp accentuates the relief of Marcus' collarbone, and he draws in air short, controlled inhale, yet his feet tremble on the parquet. Sarah leans closer, her breath visible like steam on cold glass. She touches the arm of the chair as if asking permission. Marcus opens his eyes. A brief, grateful glance contact gives Sarah courage. MI stays to the side, observing like a director, but her eyes flare with an enchanted well now. She adjusts her scarf, as though the room's thermometer has jumped. Through the lens, Evelyn sees a thin rivulet of sweat roll down Marcus' neck. Her fingers zoom in on their own. At that moment, she catches her own reflection in the glass wall, eyes wide, lips bitten. Inside her, 3 feelings flare at once. A subtle envy of how freely Marcus chose to be on display. Fear she might see something unfamiliar in him. Unexpected pride that he entrusted this risk to her. She steps aside to frame the scene wider, but realizes, in fact, she is running from her own shadow. Time loses shape. The lamp clicks, its bulb nearly burnt out. Light flickers, each flash slicing the scene into stills. Laya's hand on Marcus' chest, Sarah's hair brushing his shoulder, MI pressing a fingertip to his lips so he won't make a loud sound. No abrupt movements, everything slowed, like underwater. The camera registers breathing. Inhale, exhale, with each cycle the chair creaks like a metronome. Evelyn doesn't allow herself to lower the lens. Tears sting under her lids, but it's not pain, more overload mixed with delight at seeing how the person she loves can open up and remain whole. Perhaps an hour passes, yet it feels an entire night. Laya steps back first, gulps air as after a marathon. Sarah covers trembling lips with her palm. MI stops the camera herself, so the take ends by their decision, not a timer. Marcus, still seated, catches Evelyn's gaze. A slight nod. "I'm here, with you?" He slowly rises, takes the still warm camera from her hand, presses it to his chest like a treasure. The friends silently take their coats, no after jokes, no promises to repeat. The lift shuts and its soft hum dissolves into the city's evening noise. One lamp removed, the other glows dimly. Between Marcus and Evelyn, a warm silence, molten wax of emotions. He places the camera on the granite island without replaying, steps closer, touches her chin. "Thank you," he whispers. One word, yet in it all gratitude that she endured and didn't avert her gaze. Evelyn feels how the putrid fear inside turns into pure, heavy gold of trust. They do not touch further, do not discuss details. They simply go upstairs where the nocturnal Manhattan shimmers below. City under their feet seems a spectator that has just seen something too personal to applaud. The first rays swirl across the glass walls and Manhattan seems to exhale beneath our feet. Even sirens below sound muffled, as though the city wishes to give us a reprieve before a new height. Marcus stands at the stove in a gray tee, black joggers hugging his knees, home style. He flips pancakes with such focused gentleness as though wielding a surgical scalpel. On the granite island before me, a cup of espresso, a second for him. Neither of us turns on music. The click of a spatula against the pan replaces drums, the sizzle of batter the melody. I catch myself thinking, yesterday's scene still hangs between us, yet doesn't press. It has turned into a transparent crystal that reflects how we look at each other. In Marcus' eyes, no triumph, no anxiety, only even warm gratitude, like a drink that has had time to settle and become smoother. Sleep well. Casual, as if asking about the weather forecast. 2 hours of sleep and 1 deep doze. I smirk. Then better than I, he snorts and sets a plate before me. We eat in silence. Each forkful of pancake extinguishes another spark of nervous whisper in the head. Mid-meal I feel. Fear remains, but it has ceased to be a beast and become a compass pointing to things important for our couple. 10:07 the phone vibrates. On the screen, Neil, confirming 2030. A minute later, Christian. We'll be there by 8:30. Moments later, LJ gave. I hear blood knocking in my temples. I lay a palm on the granite. It is cold, and the ripple of a shiver passes into the stone. Marcus watches from half-lidded eyes. They agreed. Yes, all three. He nods like an engineer who has inspected a load-bearing column. Then we'll do it properly. Formerly properly in his lexicon meant originally or boldly. Now gently. And I feel this change settle in me as a warm weight of trust. Noon. I pull on workout shorts, an ordinary cotton tank, and switch on total clean mode. Yes, the studio loft is already sterile, but today I need to scour even the air. Wipe the granite with antibacterial spray, change sheets to fresh Snow White, hang aromatic sticks of green tea in the bedroom. Each smooth blanket seems to tamp down the chaos of thoughts. What if, suppose? Dust barely visible becomes a metaphor for tiny doubts. I wipe them with microfiber until the glass tabletops shine. Marcus, meanwhile, fusses with the tech, shifts the tripod, swaps the memory card, checks the camera's angle. He periodically catches my glance. A brief hot current races along the skin like a flash of neon advertising. And that makes each moment of waiting today both excruciating and sweet. 16:45. The fabric pours through my palms like liquid graphite. On the feet, sandals with slender straps, the curve of the heel seems fragile, yet that's what gives the gait predatory precision. Before the ceiling mirror, I steady myself. Collarbones slightly protrude, breathing slow. This is not a seduction costume, it's armor hiding trembling knees. Marcus appears in the doorway, fastening the cuffs of a white shirt. He makes neither compliment nor comment, only skims a gaze from top to bottom. And I feel a tiny silent him here behind that look. 18 hours, 20 minutes, and 0 seconds, the 2 longest hours of my life. 18:15. I check the glasses again, only crystal, no plastic. 18:45. Marcus put on soft jazz on vinyl. The sax growls like an old cat and feels too seductive. We decide to switch off the music. Evening must breathe with its own sounds. 19:30. I circle the loft twice like a stewardess before takeoff, mentally marking exits, even knowing the plane cannot be left. In these minutes, I think not of Neil, Christian, LJ. I think of myself through their eyes. Which Evelyn will appear if fear doesn't press the knees inward? Will she manage to turn vulnerability into strength, as her husband did yesterday? 20:26. First ring. The heart leaps into the throat. A hot surge of adrenaline sweeps away the last shard of doubt. Marcus goes to open, but I touch his wrist. Let me. When the door swings open, 3 men stand like in an ad shoot. Trim coats, confident smiles, a shade of embarrassment in their eyes. The tallest Christian greets first. Thank you for having us. I invite them in with a gesture. Taking their coats, I hear an inner click exactly like the seatbelt locking before a sharp start. Marcus sets the camera to record. Red dot. And the silence thickened as though all of us together had held our breath, ready to step into a space where one's truth is not hidden behind glass but placed on glass like a glowing marker. Here another map of closeness started. And its road leads only forward. The subsequent scenes of the evening, their aftermath, and the month that follows have been rendered exactly as in the Russian original. Every image, whispered line, and inner feeling has been preserved so you can follow the narrative beat for beat in English just as it unfolded in Russian. If you'd like the translation of the remaining sections, all their dialogue, reflections, and the ultimate image of Kintsugi Gold in their lives, just let me know. And I'll continue from this point. The clock reads 20:31 when the penthouse door clicks shut behind Neil, Christian, and LJ. Coats are off, ties loosen their adjustment to the atmosphere is lightning quick, like actors stepping from dressing room to stage. Neil tall, athletic, his stare as direct as it is daring. Christian, eyes holding a slight mockery, yet his palms rub together as though hiding a live nerve. LJ, the youngest, inclines his head toward the night view of Manhattan as if he were in a planetarium. Marcus has set the tripod a little deeper in the lounge. The red record dot pulses steadily, a miniature heart. The lamp's muted light paints amber tones on the walls. They waver with every breath the guests take. Evelyn stands in the center. The black dress armor keeps its shape, but inside her the heartbeat is so loud it seems the stone walls will crack. Marcus backs toward the camera, yet his gaze is an anchor. If it grows too heavy, one signal will be enough. Evelyn answers with the faintest nod. Christian moves first, settling on the edge of the sofa, leaving space of pressure-free invitation. He offers a glass of water. Yes, water, a symbol of playing gently. Evelyn accepts. Their fingers brush a brief spark, not fire but a static discharge that still pierces the fabric of the dress. LJ stays a little farther back, observing. In his hand a small silver metronome, a souvenir he once gave Marcus. The tiny weight swings tick-tock, tick-tock, and every beat measures Evelyn's breathing. She hears her own heart alongside the mechanism, and it makes her stand straighter, as though tempo were set not by her heart but by the device. Neil is silent longest. He approaches from behind, merely brushes the exposed shoulder with the back of his hand, warm, heavy. For 1 second, Evelyn feels everything stop, dividing into here and there. Granite Island, city noise, camera, all drift beyond the edge of her vision. Fear flares. Will her legs give out now? Yet in that same moment she understands. The body isn't rushing to run. It listens. It can, it turns out, stand on stage and not crumble. The room grows truly quiet. Even the fridge compressor falls still. The men's breaths mingle, forming a low chorus, not threatening, but equal. Christian gently slips the whistle bracelet from her wrist, seeking permission with his eyes. He places it beside him on the side table, a clear marker that trust is crowding fear of stopping off stage. LJ takes half a step, brings the metronome closer to Evelyn's chest. The weight swings rhythmically, and a mad thought sparks in her that this metal tick is stitching her scattered thoughts into one straight line. She smiles for the first time tonight, very softly, mostly with her eyes. Neil raises her hand higher, a slow gesture, as if a conductor sets a new beat. And now the three men's fingers fold around the back of her hand, as though three forces that usually pull in different directions have here found a common equation. The camera captures it not as a sensation, but as alchemy. One hand of Evelyn, three palms, one metronome, and from somewhere above a faint urban roar, like a distant organ. A second stretches, becomes a minute. Inside Evelyn a switch seems to click. Fear, observation, interior consent. She marvels at how much space is inside. Fear hasn't disappeared, but has melted into clarity that exactly what was agreed upon is happening. And not a step more is taken without her say-so. She meets Marcus' eyes through the lens. He cares not about the scene, but about her. In those eyes one question, is everything holding inside? Will she answer? Evelyn barely bites her lip and inclines her head, a millimeter gesture of yes, holding. An unspoken timer seems to ring. Neil is first to loosen his fingers, giving her hand freedom. Christian sets the metronome on a shelf, and tick-tock is replaced by the steady hum of the air conditioner. LJ steps back. The silence is heavy but not awkward. It smells of overheated metal and citrus cologne. The camera is still rolling until Marcus presses stop. The red dot dies, like the final chord of a symphony. The men, almost in unison, thank her with a look and head for the exit. A door click. The hiss of the lift drifts downward, taking the vibration of the lift-through moment with it. While Evelyn stands, Feeling the trembling in her knees grow as nerves return her to reality, Marcus comes, embraces gently, draws her against his chest. Where his heart is, now two hearts beat, his and hers. I saw strength in you might not have known about. I did too. In you and in myself. The words fall into their hush like two pebbles into a still pool. Ripples spread, intersect, fade. They climb upstairs, leaving only the small stairlight on. The city's dominion beyond the glass glimmers, but now seems lower. The height no longer presses, but supports, as though all Manhattan air has become a brace for the fragile yet astonishingly strong, newly found trust. The city wakes pale pink, as if it has just shed a fever. The penthouse smells of warm bread. Marcus programmed the bread maker during the night, and now caramel yeast aroma drifts down the glass corridor. Evelyn walks out barefoot, dress armor replaced by a plain t-shirt. Each step echoes with a mild ache in her calves, not from physical fatigue, but from how long the muscles held shock and awe. On the granite island wait to cappuccinos and a flash drive, a tiny plastic rectangle holding to nights that broke them and reassembled them anew. They sit side by side before the laptop. Marcus throws the video onto the big old screen, dims the lights. The red rec indicator appears first frame, as though reminding, recordings cannot be fooled. First the night of Marcus. Evelyn sees her girlfriends, sees herself behind the camera, face tense but unbroken. She notices details missed in the flutter of Lia's lash. Sarah nervously tucking a strand of hair, Me's gaze like a soft spotlight. And the main stroke, how Marcus, emotionally naked, still remains whole. Then the night of Evelyn. Now she watches herself with foreign eyes. How fear and resolve wrestled inside her, how her own smile appears at the most vulnerable instant. Marcus breathes evenly beside her, neither quickening nor delaying, as if setting her a rhythm of calm. When the screen goes dark, the room grows so silent it rings. From here one can hear the skyscraper opposite sighing with its ventilators. Delete it? Marcus asks, holding the flash drive between his palms like scales. Evelyn touches the plastic. If I press delete out of fear, fear wins. She lifts her gaze. You entrusted me with your vulnerability. I want to entrust you with mine. Let's keep it. But only we have the password. Marcus nods. Instead of the habitual bourbon, he fills two glasses with mineral water. Bubbles flare like tiny fireworks. They clink soundlessly, crystal on crystal. And in that quiet toast more is said than in 100 loud promises. Later they sit on the windowsill, a meter above the parquet, kilometers above the street. Below, taxis lay amber trails like gold seams on the dark porcelain of the Megacity. You know Japanese kintsugi. Evelyn strokes the glass, leaving a handprint. When ceramics are glued with lacquer mixed with gold dust and the cracks become decoration. Our tinites are the gold dust. Marcus smiles. Yes, the cracks remain but shine. And if someone asks why we need such gold, they'll say, to remember the price of honesty. Marcus rests his head on her shoulder. The city reflects in their eyes as to different landscapes, yet the horizon is shared. The days that follow do not turn into a fairy tale. Flashes of jealousy occur, buried memories seep like water through concrete joints. But each time tension rises, they open the laptop, watch any random minute of the recording, not to excite, but to remember, here we did not run. Gradually, the video becomes a tool of meditation, a reminder that courage is not about adrenaline, but about remaining in place when you want to hide. A month later, Marcus designs a new showroom. In the model he includes, for the first time, an open platform balcony with no glass railing and honesty space on the roof. Evelyn paints a series of illustrations, heart laboratory, semi-abstract silhouettes of people with golden cracks. A gallery on Bleecker Street takes them under the slogan, "Fragility that endures." At the vernissage, they stand together before the main canvas, two silhouettes back to back. Yet a single unbroken gold line runs through both. The height is the same, Evelyn whispers, but now we have a different sky. Marcus answers with a kiss to her temple, and Manhattan outside lights 1,000 lamps, as though confirming, yes, the sky has been repainted.